The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shades thrown on High at Nine News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at Nine News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at Nine News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Oh, yeah. Good morning, everybody. That's right. It is Thursday, May 16th, and today is National Coquilles Saint Jacques Day. Oh, Coquilles Saint Jacques Day. I probably murdered that, so I'm sorry. It's also National Classic Movie Day, National Do Something Good for Your Neighbors Day, Rico.
Fuck the neighbors.
Honor our LGBT Elders Day. National Barbecue Day. Oh, what were you going to say?
So yeah.
And exactly, that's right, Rico. It's also the day for the Vouv, because today is National Mimosa Day also. Thank you all for right. Thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above on your screen to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. But kicking it off first today, it's the man who showed up on time today. That's right, is the dope dad himself, who does not have baby duty during this time. That's right, is the dope dad, Mr. Rico Lamitte.
Yeah.
Look at that, bro. You got your claps and everything, bro.
Oh, yeah. Claps, the hi-hats, all that stuff, man.
You got the
know
clap?
what I'm saying? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I got the claps. Selling sport, baby. All right. So, so my story, man, it's been floating around for a couple of days. I was actually going to, I was holding off. Sure that Stone Slade would get it, but since he didn't pick it up, it's all mine, and I'm pretty happy. For once, not everything has to be negative, but let's talk about Willie Nelson. So you would be hard-pressed to find anyone alive more beloved in the cannabis industry. 91-year-old outlaw country singer, guitarist, and songwriter is not only one of the most recognized artists in the music world, but he's also acted in over 30 films. He's been involved in activism for the use of biofuels and, of course, cannabis legalization. One of the lesser-known facts about Willie Nelson is that he's also a versatile writer who's co-authored several books in genres ranging from autobiography to biographical nonfiction, self-help, wellness, and fiction. And now he and his wife, Annie Nelson, are teaming up to offer a fresh method of consumption, combining all of his lifelong talents, accomplishments, and love for weed together in the form of an infused cannabis cookbook. According to Relix.com, Willie and Annie are taking readers on a journey through meals past, while also bestowing recipes guaranteed to produce an effective buzz with Willie and Annie Nelson's Cannabis Cookbook, mouth-watering recipes, and the high-flying stories behind them, which is due on 24. Over a lifetime of study, is what he said. Over a lifetime of study, I learned that pot is more than pleasure. Its positive properties are limitless. Willie Nelson writing the It's a blessing and a blast. It's good fuel. Together with chef drummer More on that in a second. One of the most celebrated in cannabis chefs, and my wife, Annie, the most celebrated chef in our home. I'm excited to help cook meals. For the official press release, Willie and Annie Nelson's Cannabis Cookbook presents meals enjoyed on the road, at home, on the family ranch, and while visiting the pair's favorite cities. In addition to recipes, the book will also present a personal account of Willie's food-related tales, from buffalo wings and chocolate cake to Southern favorites. The curated collection delivers easy-to-make directions intended for any chef or aspiring cook looking to get a little more out. Co-authored by David Ritz, Mia Tangretti, and a good friend of mine, a name well known in Black cannabis circles and beyond, Chef Andrea Drummer. Notably, the book features a chapter dedicated to recipes surrounding cannabis-dominant based ingredients like butter, oil, simple syrups, sugars, salts, and tinctures, providing enthusiasts of the spike product space to build on their kitchen creations. I've never been much of a country music fan, but there's always been something different about Willie that made him dudes alike, even making me my wannabe gang. The country music legend. We even used to blast on the road again, out the back of our beaters, hotboxing down country roads. And there's just something about his sound, authenticity, and relatability. Hero to everybody against the system. And I don't think many more things in life are more universal than in bringing weed and food. So it makes sense to me. And I think right on brand for the old outlaw to drop a cookbook. I don't know how good the recipes in it will be, but it has piqued my interest, and I'll most likely be cooking up some Willie heat in the kitchen this holiday season. What about y'all? If you're interested, you can go ahead and there's a link to pre-order Willie and Annie Nelson's Cannabis Cookbook, mouth-watering recipes and the high-flying stories behind them at high9news.com. I'm Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street. High 9 News. On the road again.
And little cookbook, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna have some special recipes in there. A little woo wop with some doodads in there.
Yeah. Doodads and woo wah. I love it.
Yeah.
Bring it on. I'm already pre-ordered here. I thank you for bringing the story up, Rico. I was glad somebody grabbed it. Turk Pipkin, famous, he's an actor and comedian and an author and a great friend of Willie's. His words were, "I don't know anyone who comes close to knowing what Annie knows about cooking with cannabis." So this is, I'm stoked on it. And even if you're not into cannabis, like, you got to buy it for the stories. Willie is universal. The only people that hate Willie hate our country.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hey, I'm not mad at that, Stone. That was pretty patriotic of you.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, if you don't like dogs, Willie Nelson, or weed, I don't like you. Straight up.
Fair enough.
I'm on that bus.
Fair enough. What do you have to say, Rachelle?
I think Willie was pretty famous for coming around and saying, "Hey, I was going to drink myself to death. I started smoking weed and saved my life." Mm-hmm. And a lot of people have found it's a harm reducer or serious drugs when you're not ready to walk away, being what they call California sober. It's a lot healthier for you than drinking yourself to death or smoking that meth pipe until you're pickling pickles for a nickel and somebody stabs you in the back alley.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that took a dark turn.
Yeah, right.
I like it.
Hey.
Hopefully there's no pickles for a nickel recipe in there.
Yeah. Nickel pickles.
Tickles for nickels.
We're really excited about this cookbook drop over at Green State. We were just talking about it yesterday. And we actually plan to try to do a little Willie Nelson dinner party and try out some of the recipes. So stay tuned for more on that.
You know, that's what I was thinking. I can totally see people having like events, catered events where they are like having special chefs come and curate different recipes out of this book. I can totally see this happening.
Yeah, I was pleasantly, I was like kind of on the fence about it. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna get a cannabis cookbook. It's just gonna collect dust. But Andrea, man,
the sad
Andrea's
part
the
about
homie.
it. The sad part about it. The sad part about it is that all of the consumption lounges, they can't infuse cannabis into food. So the only type of events where this is actually going to be feasible are going to be
private
trap type events.
Yep. private events.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
So you call trap events private events now?
No, you can do it at private events, right? You know what I'm saying? You're paying for the experience. You're not paying for the weed.
Exactly.
You're paying for entry into the space. That's a legal loophole, you know, that I'm very, very well acquainted with.
Adults are able to share here in California, so come on over and mix up some cannabis butter and make whatever the hell you want.
Yes,
a barbecue.
I hope that this book has a bunch of like different Willie-isms inside, like different quotes inside the book that correlate with the different recipes, because I just feel like that would be fun to read to people as you're like hosting one of these parties.
Agreed. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to read like the stories behind it and fuck up some shit in the kitchen too. Get my wife to fix it. So
I mean, you're just gonna give her the dishes, Rico.
I do the dishes.
You do the dishes?
Actually, she cooks, I clean. That's our trade-off.
Oh, okay. All right. That's cute.
I'm OCD.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't be mad at a similar deal. I'm not mad, you know. But nonetheless, we're going to go to...
You wouldn't even think a toddler lived in my house, man. Come over here. Clean as fuck.
I mean, your daughter's is smarter than most toddlers, though, Rico. So I'm not even...
She is.
Yeah. We're gonna go to a commercial. We're going to be right back.
Let's do it.
Oh man, that was weird. Hey, you America. Do I look like Sean Connery? Good morning, America. Saman Razani coming to you live from sunny Los Angeles, California with the one and only highest host, Mr. Jason Beck, smoking on the best weed in the world. Did you know that we have an audio-only version of our podcast? You can find it on Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. No excuses in 2024. If you haven't checked us out, check it out now. And also, check out what the Prophet's doing in 2024.
From West Hollywood to London and beyond, he's known for smoking the best weed in the world. That he walks into, he's the highest Republican in it.
That's right.
And even though he has a love and affinity for despots that may or not be running for president from a jail cell, still got love for him. Coming to the stage, Jason Beck.
He's about to be the three-time champ, Rico. It's about to be big. Three-time champ coming up. But I have another buddy of mine in my story today, Rico. I think you'll enjoy this. You know, you guys all wanted to hoot and holler about the Democrats yesterday. Well, guess what? I have some positive Republican news for you today, Rico. Because a House committee proposes ending marijuana testing for military recruits in the defense bill, you guys. That's right. A GOP, Rico-led House committee is proposing to prohibit military branches from testing recruits for marijuana, while also asking for an update from the Department of Defense on the status of its psychedelics clinical trials. The House Armed Services Committee on Military Personnel released recommended language containing the cannabis and psychedelic provisions as part of the 2025 National Defense Authorization Act. Members want to see the components included in a major annual legislation that's being taken up in a full committee markup next week. Under a section on recruitment, the subcommittee proposed eliminating marijuana testing for enlistment purposes. Section 531, prohibition on cannabis testing for enlistment or commission in certain armed forces. Subject to Section A of Section 504 of Chapter 31 of Title 10, that's for you, Dale, United States Code, the Secretary of the Military Department concerned may not require an individual to submit to a test for cannabis as a condition of enlistment of such individuals as a member or the commission of such individual as an officer of an armed force. That's the actual language right there. The recommended section mirrors a proposed amendment to DOD appropriations legislation last year that was led by, that's right, my good buddy, Representative Matt Gaetz from Florida, who also sits on the Personnel Subcommittee. Gaetz told Marijuana Moment on Tuesday that the new NDAA cannabis provision was a collaborative effort. A collab. Cannabis people love that kind of stuff. DOD told lawmakers last year that marijuana's active ingredient Delta-9 THC is the most common substance that appears on positive drug tests for active duty military service members and several recruits who test positive for their first time. While it remains to be seen if the testing ban will be approved by the full committee during the next Wednesday's markup, its inclusion in the subcommittee draft is notable, especially in the GOP-controlled House. The panel also proposed report language to follow up on provisions in the most recently enacted NDAA that provide funding for DoD-led clinical trials on therapeutic potential of psychedelics for active duty military service members. The recommended report language says the committee, in quotes, wants to ensure the establishment of the program is progressing without impediment, and calls on DOD to provide Congress with a status update report by January 31st of 2025. And here's the section, you guys. Section 723 of the NDAA for fiscal year 2024, Public Law 118-31, established a Department of Defense program to study the effectiveness of psychedelic substances and plant-based therapies in treating post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injuries. The committee wants to ensure the establishment of the program is progressing without impediments. Therefore, the committee directs the Secretary of Defense to provide a briefing to the House Committee on Armed Services no later than January 31st of 2025 on the following with regards to the progress of the program. And there is 9 items on here. So number 1, the department's process for funding eligible entities. 2, the Secretary's selection for lead administrator to carry out the program. 3, a list and a description of the eligible entities that have been selected for the program. 4, how the department notified and selected service members to participate in the program. 5, how service members have requested, how many service members have requested participation in the program. 6, how many service members have been selected for participation in the program. And 7, any issues the department is encountering establishing the program. 8, any anticipated delays to implementing the program. And finally, number 9, any other information the Secretary deems relevant. Representative Morgan Luttrell, Republican from Texas, a former Navy SEAL with personal experience with psychedelic treatment, who championed the underlying amendment, told Marijuana Moment earlier this year that he planned to separately meet with military leadership to collaborate on how to effectively administer the program. Meanwhile, a top official at the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs said at a conference last week that he was initially surprised by the level of bipartisan support for psychedelic medicine in Congress. He said at this point, psychedelics policy enjoys a greater level of bipartisanship than marijuana. The conference took place about 2 weeks after the House Veterans Affairs Committee passed a bill to require the VA to notify Congress if any psychedelics are added to its formality of covered prescription drugs. Formally of covered prescription drugs. Well, I feel like this is great news, especially for our service members and anyone that wants to join the military. I mean, they've already removed the drug testing requirements for a lot of people that work in cyberspace, the FBI, CIA, and other different government agencies. So I don't see our military being much different. But nonetheless, I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. And this is Jason Beck for the High at 9 News Hour. What do y'all think?
Drug testing is stupid.
I mean,
there's my starting point.
Fair enough.
I was drug tested in the military, and we found ways around it. Mm-hmm. This is for recruiting purposes. You shouldn't be keeping people out because they smoked weed before. It doesn't make you an immoral human being. But while you're in, I wonder what they're going to continue to do for testing. I also think it's about time that the military recognize what I see in the veteran community, that psychedelics are a wonderful new approach to PTSD. Mm-hmm. And that this needs to be incorporated in. I don't know how we get it into the national formulary or make it available for general prescription in the military. But if you're whacked out with PTSD, you're willing to try anything. And psychedelics from DMT, ayahuasca, mescaline, psilocybin, all those seem to have profound positive effects on PTSD. It's about time they got their head out of their ass and recognized what most of us see already.
Yeah. Fair.
I think it's a no-brainer, and it should be an easy bipartisan win, but we know how that all goes.
These days and times.
Yeah,
What is
tie
bipartisan?
this to something that's not passable.
Right. And I gotta say, man, that I am. Politics aside, like I'm happy that these Republicans are at the forefront of this issue and they're pushing it forward. Keep it to that.
Fair enough. You have any thoughts on this, Stone?
Like I said, just I can't. We'll see what happens. We'll see if they try to attach this to some shit that has no chance of going through. So if this was just like
they're gonna put this in the NDAA, it's a must-pass bill.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, you know more than me.
The National Defense Authorization Act. That's how we get to do things across the world.
Well, I fucking like it then. I'm all for it.
All right, there we go. Let's see some.
Look at these guys.
See some
Those are
patriotism.
some happy Republicans there.
I'm happy to see some patriotism coming out of Texas today.
Try to strip it out.
What's that?
Hey, it's National Barbecue Day. Let's get patriotic.
Yeah. You think somebody's going to try to strip it out? Like, here's the thing, man. They try to put this in this bill. All the Democrats can be like, oh, they didn't put this shit in our bill when we tried to attach it to the last bill. And we can go back and forth on some shit like that.
I'll put it to you like this. If anyone tries to pull it out, it's probably going to be a Democrat.
That's what I'm saying. Like, just like the Republicans do when the Democrats try to do the same shit.
I'm just saying. If anyone does it, it's going to be a Democrat.
I hope.
And then the Republicans are going to have the argument to say that Democrats don't support veterans and don't support our military because they're not supporting freedom and this and that. It's going to give them way too many talking points.
I know, Jason. This is what I'm saying. I hope it doesn't go down that road. I hope we don't go down on the road again.
It may not.
Hope we don't go down that road again. But unfortunately, that's what we've seen time and time again. Just because of this little petty bullshit. I think it should be a win. It should be an easy win for them. And I hope the Democrats don't let they don't scratch that petty itch that we know both sides have the tendency to do.
Nick is being a hater, bro. He's like, this does very little for the military. Let's be 100% real here. And I totally disagree with that comment 100%. We have our lowest recruitment rates ever. And this is something that the military desperately needs in order to get their numbers up there, because if you keep on disqualifying people that want to participate in our military armed services and they are disqualified because of the fact that they consumed a plant is just asinine to me.
Now, is this just for people that are entering the military, or is this for actual people that are already in the military? I'm gonna
assume this is for anyone entering the military, and I would imagine it would be for anyone currently serving in the military. Although I would imagine that there's probably going to be some inclusion that, like, like if there's.
I don't see them stop drug testing for people already in. I think it's
I mean, that's where they really need it.
I think this will. I think this will. But
I doubt it.
I guess we're gonna have to find out. I mean, I'll tell you this much: we'll be covering it next week in the story after they have their committee hearing next Wednesday. I'm sure that we'll have a story next Thursday.
Man. Like, good luck. Yeah, good luck on this bill. And Democrats, don't scratch that itch, man.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
They don't.
Hopefully, we don't have a Cory Booker in the House. But nonetheless, we're going to keep this thing rolling. We're going to roll right on into Mr. Attorney Dale Schafer. He's the founder of Armada Law Practice, and at one point in time did some time for a cannabis crime. That's right. He's a 2-time felon that didn't do no telling. That's right. It is none other than Dale Schafer.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, everybody. My story this morning comes out of Law 360. It's another story about this mess that's called New York cannabis law. That when I'm reading this, I'm thinking these people didn't learn a damn thing from the screw-ups in California. But nonetheless, they're going forward. And this involves the state law that was passed, and they gave authority to these administrative agencies. And the allegation in this is they overstepped their bounds. And this involves social equity. We've talked about this many times in the past. I think there's a Dormant Commerce Clause attack on social equity in New York. And this is an attack on the social equity program. The state law mandated that anybody who is going to apply for a cannabis license has to notify their local municipality. In California, it's set up that you have to get permission from the locals before you can apply to the state. In New York, before you apply to the state, you've got to notify the locals. I don't know that it really changes a whole lot of dynamics here, but that's at the heart of this pissing match we got going on here. And there's 4 applicants for these adult use retail dispensary licenses. And one of these agencies decided that they were going to exempt a certain group of social equity applicants from having to notify the local jurisdiction. And the argument is that if you give them a provisional license, and then they can go to a local jurisdiction and announce that, hey, we're here we got a state license, that they can then declare a location. And anybody that's already in line to get a license that's got a location and it's too close to them, then they have to close it down. They have to walk away from the game. So the way this is working out, and I think we've talked about it a couple times, there's an administrative law loop that you've got to exhaust all your administrative remedies before you can go to what I call the real court, where a real judge can make you stop and fine you and all kinds of other stuff. But there's an off-ramp in the New York administrative law world that if you're claiming what the state's doing is unlawful or arbitrary and capricious, and you can go right to civil court and you can ask to stop. And lo and behold, what these 4 applicants did was file a lawsuit claiming that what the agency did in exempting this group of social equity applicants from the local notice requirement was unlawful, and it's also arbitrary and capricious. Surprise, surprise, because that's the off-ramp they were allowed to take, and their complaint involves this exemption. Did the agency have the authority granted by the legislature to make up these new set of rules? And their argument is no, it exceeded their authority. You've got to go back to the legislature to get that authority. Now, I don't know how this is going to play out because I haven't heard from the state. They're not giving any comment, but they will respond to this. And what this group has asked is that they want an injunction stopping any more applications being granted to these social equity applicants, and anybody that's got one already, they have to stop operations. Now, this is one more turd in the punch bowl. New York cannabis regulations and businesses rolling out. And what we've learned here in California is that there is no end to people who will piss and moan about any effort to do anything to help anybody in this industry. Now, one of the problems that we've had since the civil rights movement, and I don't know if you call it a backlash in the courts, is that they no longer allow you to give anybody a leg up based upon these protected classes. And that would be race, religion, things like gender, stuff like that. But they found ways around it by saying, oh, if you have a cannabis conviction, and they know predominantly that hit the black community more than the white community. It's their way of trying to give a leg up, if you will, to people who have suffered the most harm from these draconian cannabis laws. This is one more way that it's being attacked. And I got to tell you, I have both social equity and non-social equity clients. And this is a problem any way you look at it. If you're social equity, you're just being stomped on unnecessarily. And if you're not social equity, view this as being unreasonable and unlawful, and you don't have the right to set up some special class. So we'll see this play out. I want to throw it back at you because this is just an ongoing problem across the industry, and I don't think I have an answer. I'm just pointing out the problem. So back at you. What do you guys all think about this?
I mean, New York just keeps on shooting itself in the foot every opportunity it gets. I feel like there's a whole episode of Harlem Nights, and it just shooting everybody in their pinky toe.
Harlem Nights, Jason with the references.
You like that, Rico?
Man.
You like that?
I like that.
Harlem, New York. You know what I mean?
But yeah.
Well, they're certainly not learning from us. Okay.
I don't think they're learning from anybody, Dale. They don't even learn from themselves.
No.
They sounded great before anything happened.
Before the first person schlepped down to court and said, hang on for a second, you can't do this. And now we're just off and running. And it's just a mess. And the trap is winning all day long when you have these sort of pissing matches inside the regulated industry.
Mm-hmm. And yet they want to tout like there was just they raided like 70 stores yesterday in New York, claiming that they closed them down. Okay, illegal dispensaries.
It's whack-a-mole.
Well,
we've been playing whack-a-mole for a long time. You can't stop them.
Exactly.
You close them down, and then the guys are on the corner with it. But New York was the center of the speakeasy, so you should not be surprised.
Exactly.
They're doing it.
This is insane to me.
They're trying. So they're trying to invalidate all 463.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And any of them that fit into this cohort got an exemption from the local notice and having your site location before you file the application. That, I think, is what they're saying. They didn't have the authority to do. It's arbitrary and capricious, which gets around the rational basis test for what governments do. And it's just a game. Attorneys are making a lot of money here. Let me just tell you that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure we're going to fix anything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. James Flatbush. James of Flatbush. He says, "I read the details of the lawsuit, and they're just a bunch of chads." He says.
Yeah. This is the most Chad Karen-esque lawsuit ever. But as we've seen, man, Chads and Karens with enough money, they win this shit. Mm-hmm. They win these types of things. And as much as the culture, the community of cannabis is all about helping those that need help, capitalism don't help people that need help. Capitalism helps people who got money to help other capitalists.
And to help other people, too. We give away for charity. We do 501c3s.
No, you give away for charity and capitalists for tax write-offs, man. Like let's be real. I was in finance long enough, and I know that come giving time is a time for rich people not to pay taxes. Like charity, like for the most part, charity should not have to exist in such a rich country like ours. Just keep it a buck.
You know what? In all fairness, I think you do have a point to that a little bit, Rico, just a little bit. Because I do think there is a portion of the population that just wants to sit around and do nothing and have everything fed to them. So excluding from that, I think you do have a point.
Yeah, the people who want to sit around and do nothing, right? We have enough money in this country; they should be able to do that.
Well, we don't have it anymore. We don't have it in our country anymore. We send it all to Ukraine and other places.
Strung out. They should not be strung out on the streets and addicted to hardcore drugs and subjected to a lot of shit. Because we have enough money to stop that. You know, there's 20 billion, or however many billions of dollars we spent on Ukraine and Israel. Guess what? $20 billion is all it takes to eradicate this country of homelessness. $20 billion.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we gave 40 billion to Ukraine. Crazy.
How much money have we spent since George W. Bush on Israel?
I agree.
It's going on for all this other bullshit that does not have any benefit for our country. In fact, it has direct ties to the detriment of our country. But we refuse to put up $20 billion to eradicate homelessness. Mm-hmm. We do not have our priorities in order as a country. And why? Because of capitalism.
I don't think it's because of capitalism.
But you know what? If you make $1 billion and you give away, $1 million to charity, you're a fucking hero now.
You're trying to make the bad the enemy of the good with that blaming capitalism. You just have to blame the individuals. It's not.
This whole system, the capitalist system in America's eyes, is a snake eating its own tail.
I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that.
Well, what I could tell you guys from both sides of this, the corporations that I represent that are not social equity have the money to write big checks for me to go in and fight, okay? And I've got social equity applicants who ran into a situation where they didn't have shit to pay, and I couldn't afford to do what they needed me to do for free. So there you have it. Mm-hmm. There's a disparity in the ability to pay for attorneys to go help you with the fight. So the end result is the poor or the socially disadvantaged end up on the short end of the stick, de facto in reality, because they ain't got the money.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Blame it on whoever you want. The corporations that can write the checks, I can bring in consultants and people to come in and help me, and we're likely to win. Mm-hmm. I just had a client that needed $250,000 to sue a city. He couldn't raise it. We didn't have it, so she lost her license.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
And it's a reality.
Rachelle, you have any thoughts on this before we move on?
Let's keep her moving.
We're going to keep it moving. We're going to roll right into a commercial, and we'll be right back. The Control Tower from Highly Educated has perfected the dab. Utilizing the concept of thin film evaporation, you can waste none of it and taste all of it. The micro texture of the SE pillar increases nucleation at elevated temperatures. And with the tower propelling at 2,600 RPMs, it's certainly the most efficient dab experience to date. The Control Tower from Highly Educated. Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you hit that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it, and YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already, and all of the articles will be up in just an hour or two on our website, where you can read them all at www.high9news.com. I'm Jason Beck, and this is Smoky Vanilla. And if you want to feel as good as I look, then you need to get a stretch and smoke with Smoky Vanilla.
Hi, I'm Smoky Vanilla. I have my bachelor's degree in kinesiology, and I'm a sports massage therapist and stretch coach. I focus mostly on individuals that are in sport with chronic pain or injury. I love to intuitively create and customize a session based on the individual that I'm working with. We'll go over a few postural assessments, work together to create a wellness journey based on the health history, past injuries, or anything still affecting you today. And we'll get you back on your feet right away with less pain.
We're about to stretch, and then we're gonna smoke, because we're gonna get on our stretch and smoke. If you want to feel as good as I look, then you need to come on down and get a stretch and smoke with none other than Smoky Vanilla. Yes.
Oh, yeah. This Austin, Texas-based dope dad is way more than a pretty face with good taste. You're the high road on a mission to bring sensible cannabis philosophy back to a land where Delta 8 is considered great. Here to break us off with a little Thursday love, Stone Slade.
Thank you. I gotta tell you, I did get to hang out with Matthew St. Germain day before yesterday.
Yeah.
And, no Delta 8 was seen, smelled.
No Delta 8 was consumed. Did you get to judge any entries?
It was that?
Did you get to judge any of the entries?
I did not. No, I did not. No. Anyway, here we go. If you find, sorry, threw myself off. Mm-hmm. All right, here comes the news. If you spend enough time with people, you'll start to see patterns. After a while, you notice that everyone has their own story, their own unique path, but there are some common threads that run through all of our lives. It's those threads that we often find wisdom. Now, if you think wisdom comes with age or maybe from years of experience in a particular field, but let me tell you about a doctor who found wisdom in one of the most unexpected places through his work in cannabis. 30 years in the ER can teach you a lot about the human condition. Dr. Weinberg, an experienced physician, spent decades treating patients in crisis. It was a revolving door of faces, each one a fleeting encounter, each case a monetary intersection. You patch them up, you move them on, rarely do you see them again. It's a tough, sometimes thankless job, and it's one that leaves little room for deep connection. Then about 9 years ago, something changed. Dr. Weinberg began a new chapter as a medical cannabis practitioner. It was a shift that brought him into a different kind of relationship with his patients. Ongoing, evolving, and deeply personal. Suddenly, he wasn't just treating symptoms. He was engaging in conversations that went beyond medicine. He was learning about their lives, their struggles, their triumphs, and in turn, he was learning more about himself. These patients came from all walks of life, CEOs, lawyers, people with chronic illnesses, and those facing terminal diagnosis. What they shared was an openness, a willingness to explore something that had been stigmatized for nearly a century. They weren't swayed by the old reefer madness propaganda. They were looking for relief, and they found it in cannabis. This openness led to a kind of camaraderie, a shared understanding that they were partaking in something still controversial in many places. They were seeking change, and in many cases, they found it. Dr. Weinberg saw transformations. Patients who regained control of their lives, who found pain relief, who rediscovered joy and purpose. He learned about the plant's biochemistry, neurotransmitters, and the intricacies of the human brain, subjects that had never been taught or had long been shelved since his days in medical school. One story that stands out, a computer programmer with severe back pain. Dr. Weinberg was curious how the high THC product affected his work. The programmer explained that cannabis didn't hinder his performance. In fact, he felt that it enhanced it. He found solutions to problems that he couldn't solve otherwise. It was as if the plant unlocked a part of his brain that allowed him to see things more clearly. Then there was the businessman with Crohn's disease. Before cannabis flare-ups would leave him incapacitated. Now with a controlled dose, he can manage his symptoms and stay on top of his game. There were others too, a woman with Usher 3 syndrome who compared taking cannabis to turning the lights on in a dark room, and patients with severe pain syndromes who avoided surgery by becoming more active and losing weight thanks to cannabis. One particularly touching case was a writer struggling with severe anxiety and cognitive issues. A year into treatment, she was more focused, happier, and no longer abusing alcohol. A teacher with autism spectrum disorder found that cannabis helped him avoid the destructive path of using alcohol like previous generations of his family. He had found a new lease on life, managing his symptoms effectively. And then there was the middle-aged Hasidic Jew with inflammatory bowel disease who asked the doctor, "Does THC give you wisdom?" It was a question that took Dr. Weinberg by surprise. The man explained that when he took his medical cannabis and then read the Talmud, passages that had once eluded him now made sense. His insights were also validated by both his wife and his rabbi. It wasn't just about feeling high, it was about accessing a deeper understanding. It's a reminder that wisdom doesn't always come from where we expect it. Sometimes it's found in the most unexpected places. For Dr. Weinberg, it was found in the stories of his patients and the profound impacts of a plant that's been misunderstood for so long. It's a lesson in openness and listening and the endless potential for learning and growth no matter where you are in life. So does THC give you wisdom? Maybe it does, or maybe it just opens the door to find the wisdom that was there all along. Either way, it's a journey worth taking. I'm Stone Slade reporting for the High at 9 News.
So you're saying that smoking weed makes you smarter?
It's a possibility.
And this is a study.
I studied it. Yeah,
you studied it
in the cannabis.
Listen, it's not a study. It's about a doctor's personal journey.
Okay, all right. So it's a doctor. It's a doctor's opinion.
It's on our panel.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Wanted to make sure because I got a little confused right there. I just wanted to make sure. So this is a doctor's. Confused. This is a doctor's opinion.
It's a heartwarming story.
I like the story, bro. I don't understand why you're like. I just want to make sure that I'm understanding this all correctly.
Bro, why are you coming with the heat on me? What's the matter with you?
You're in Texas, bro. I thought you guys love the heat.
Before the Food and Drug Act, all doctors had these same experiences. They're called anecdotal today as a pejorative, but we have physicians in the family going back way, way back, and they used weed. They didn't call it weed; they call it Indian hemp. But they had anecdotal stories. I mean, if you were a wasting syndrome from tuberculosis, giving you hemp, Indian hemp made you hungry, and it, you didn't have a triple-blind study to say it made you hungry. You gave it to somebody, they all went and ate something. Mm-hmm. You go, oh shit, Stevie Wonder can see this makes you hungry, okay? And we had between 12 and 15,000 patients. And I can't tell you how many times I sat down with them and downloaded from them their experiences. And a lot of what we got is that cannabis lowered their other input in their brain, pain, whatever it was, and they were able to put that off the side, and they were able to focus and bring their full intellectual capacities to bear, where before they suffered from pain or Crohn's syndrome or epilepsy or migraines or whatever. They put so much energy into that when you lowered that, they were going, oh, I'm smart again. No, you just don't have the other shit going on that took away from the ability to connect the dots. And so many of those stories. It's why I went to prison. I had people that needed weed and couldn't get it. It's like, well, shit, I can grow at my hillside. I'm happy to help you. And that was great till they put me in handcuffs and took me away. But I'd do it again because I was trained in medicine. If somebody comes to you and says, hey, I got a problem, and you can help them with the problem, I think you're a prick and an asshole if you just walk away and go, I'm not going to make any money. I'm risking too much. That's my problem with the medical establishment right there. A bunch of pussies. They will not go out and do what's right for their patient. They're afraid of the government. Oh, the government's going to have something cross to say to me. Well, yeah. You took an oath to help your patient, not to placate the government.
Mm-hmm. You know what, Stone? Thank you for bringing this story, man. This is a heartwarming story, and I will say one thing, man. Like one positive I think that has come out of the pandemic, a whole lot more doctors in favor of cannabis coming to light.
That's true.
And
that's true.
Like pre-cannabis, man. When I was running events, when I was out there in these streets and everything, I would have like doctors on standby. They would be advising me and shit like that, but they did not want to be public about their support of cannabis, like at all. And 4 years later, we're seeing a lot more of these doctors coming out from their just coming out of that green closet, saying that they actually do support. They've actually seen the benefits of it, and I think it's a positive. I hope more and more come forward, and pushes the movement forward and normalizes it even more.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they're teaching about the endocannabinoid system in their medical school neuroscience classes, and actually educating people where these receptors are, how they work, like they do with the opioid receptors. And I mean, it just, Molly, when she went to medical school in the 80s, they didn't even talk about this. All the students were smoking weed, but no one got to study the endocannabinoid system because you couldn't talk about it. It needs to be talked about now as the system regulator that it actually is, and incorporate it in, and not be afraid to recommend that somebody try some low-level cannabis and see if they can figure out your problems and help make you better, which is what a doctor's supposed to be doing, not selling pharmaceuticals or just sticking money in their pocket. They're there to make you better, and that's what this should all be about. And cannabis makes you better.
Yeah, big shout out to the Knox doctors. The whole family of doctors, endocannabinologists, they took the risk as Black women to come out here and talk about this stuff early before everybody else was hopped on the before a lot of not everybody, but before a lot of these other mainstream doctors that are currently practicing got about it too. Or an educated teacher, right? And they should be teaching their patients, not just pumping them full of opioids. So I'm all for this, and I hope more of them come forward. And thank you for sharing this story, Stone. You warmed my heart, brother, even though Jason's is cold as ice.
Cute. That's right, baby.
See, that's the response I like there. Not Jason jumping down my throat. Is this a study?
I was just asking a question. I don't understand why I can't ask questions.
Calm down. I didn't know you got confused.
So there's a strain out there that'll allow Jason to pull a stick out of his ass. We just got to find out what it is. We'll look for it, okay?
Yeah.
The problem is it's probably sun grown, so he won't smoke it.
There's a month-old suppository stuck in his ass.
Oh boy, let's keep it rolling.
Can't help
time to keep it rolling. Time to keep it rolling.
Up next, she's a cannabis and psychedelics reporter, editor at Green State, and reigning champion of the world when it comes to Legos in the cannabis space. I don't know anybody else who can even claim that throne. Maybe you can tell me better than that, Rachelle. But up next, y'all know who it is. Rachelle Gordon. God damn it.
Thank you so much for that rousing intro. I feel like I always get like the nicest intro, so thanks guys for that. My story this week comes from my colleague, Kara Wheatstock. And we are going to talk about dead and weed. Here's the headline from Green State. Deadheads take a hit at Garcia's green room before the Sphere. Any deadheads in the room? Probably not. Maybe just... Oh, yeah, there you go, Stone. That's what's up. Anyone who lives in a place where high-profile musicians visit often has experienced this anomaly when a beloved band comes to town. When the string cheese incident rolled through, the city would become a little goofier, as visitors all had a whimsical energy. If it was the Grateful Dead or core member spin-off bands, hippie vibes hit max level as groovy wisps spun around the sidewalks for a few days. Those in Las Vegas are getting excited as the Deadheads should arrive soon, and the local cannabis community welcomes them with open arms. Dead & Company will be live at the Sphere in Las Vegas from May 16th to July 13th. With the Sphere at their backs and overhead and behind the audience and all around, this show offers an expansive visual Grateful Dead experience, and this Cannabis Lounge wants to help. Smoke and Mirrors is excited for the Garcia's Green Room takeover catered toward visiting fans and diehard locals. The Cannabis Lounge is attached to Thrive Cannabis Marketplace, which will have exclusive stock of Garcia hand-picked traditional and infused pre-rolls. Exclusive flavors include a sugared cookies, Diesel Deal, and Garcia OG. Hop over to Smoke and Mirrors for an electric Kool-Aid cannabis-infused beverage, sit back to listen to the curated All Jerry playlist, and connect friends new and old. According to his daughter, this is what Jerry would do. Quote, "We created Garcia Handpicked because cannabis has always been a part of our family," Trixie Garcia said in a press release. "Our father would light up a joint with his friends and have a good laugh. Sharing a joint has always been a meaningful experience in our home and at shows." Smoke and Mirrors will hold raffles for show tickets and memorabilia for the Dead's run at the venue, giving away prizes like a Grateful Dead Stood Glass Gravity Bong. Guests can also find a grip of Grateful Dead merchandise at Thrive, where a pop-up store is waiting for those looking for keepsakes. Garcia family, Thrive, and Smoke and Mirrors all want this offering to be more than just a quick stop to grab a few joints for the show. Mitch Britton, CEO of Thrive Cannabis Marketplace, is excited as he comes from a family of Deadheads. But I'm honored to open our doors to Garcia Handpicked to create a one-of-a-kind opportunity for fans like us to enjoy a consumption space as unique as Vegas, filled with all the sights, sounds, and everything else you'd expect before a memorable show at the Sphere. Our team, along with Garcia Handpicked, have created a cool offering and an amazing assortment of products that everyone is sure to love, Britton concluded. So let me ask you guys, for the Deadheads in here, Stone, would you be hitting the Garcia shop before you went to the Dome or the Sphere?
I definitely would. That's an experience that you got to jump in on 100%. And I can say I've said it on the show before as somebody who was 3-4 years old, passing joints backstage for Jerry, 2 other adults in the room. This is exactly what Jerry would do. This is awesome. What a great time we live in. I have FOMO right now. I had to turn down going because I can't get away. I may still go. It's a long run. So anyway, total FOMO from the story. Thanks for bringing that, Rachel. Rachelle. Sorry.
And it's funny too, like we posted this story, like I know that the Deadheads are a tight community. I like the Grateful Dead. I have a lot of friends who are really into the Dead. I wouldn't consider myself a Deadhead, but I definitely like appreciate them and I appreciate their music and the culture. But when we posted this in Deadhead Facebook groups, people went crazy. Like the engagement was insanely high. No pun intended.
Yeah. Now, I think it's pretty dope. I want to check it out. I want to go check this shit out. I have a couple clients that are huge Deadheads, and they were Trap delivery service prior to COVID. And when COVID hit, they started selling food and infused foods at these at the concerts and shit like that, and ended up like saving their marriage. Mm-hmm. So big ups to the Deadhead community, and they're now my client again on the legal side. So shout out to the Deadhead community, man. I've seen the effects of it. I'm not a Deadhead myself, obviously, but yeah, I'm all for the positivity, and I think the Sphere would look dope as fuck with that logo. I think nobody can hate on that logo. They got one of the most iconic logos of all time, straight up.
Yeah, I think it would be a hell of an experience. I think people would definitely go to this just for the experience. I mean, look how many people go to like just like fake fast food restaurants that are like pop-ups. You know what I'm saying, for that type of experience. So yes, 100% people would be all over this, and the Grateful Dead have such a massive following across the country that people will just flock to there just for this. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, you're going to be able to spot all of them because they're all going to have some type of tie-dye on or something like that, or have one of those little dancing bears or something. Yeah.
A weed in a little vial or some shit around their neck.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Rachelle, I have a question. Is the reason you don't consider yourself a Deadhead because you don't have any of those funny colored socks?
Yeah, actually, I don't. I have a lot of tie-dye.
Hold on. What are funny colored socks?
They have these funny colored socks. It's part of their merch. A lot of deadheads wear these funny looking socks.
I haven't seen
No
that.
socks, not club.
I don't know.
Do you know what he's talking about, Stone?
I have no idea. I don't know.
Whatever.
Adam, bring him up.
Adding socks to the merch. Does Adam have them?
No. Adam's not a deadhead, bro.
I didn't think so.
Jeez. You know what? I'm just going to roll right into my next story because you guys are obviously, lacking a little bit today. It's okay.
Socks. Crunchy socks.
Well, I'll tell you what else is happening, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. We were talking about what's happening in Thailand, and out there, the Thai cannabis groups urge the government to rethink its plan to recriminalize marijuana. You guys, what do you think about this? Oh, man, there we go. Plans to criminalize marijuana. A bus driver's passed a neon sign of a cannabis shop in Bangkok, Thailand. Oh, damn it. Sorry, you guys. I'm trying a new thing to read the story, so I apologize. Dozens of Thai cannabis advocates urged the government on Thursday to abandon its plans to re-enlist marijuana as an illegal narcotic. A week after it announced its dramatic policy U-turn just 2 years after decriminalizing it, Thai Prime Minister Sretha Thavisin has made a push to allow cannabis use only for medical purposes, promising a tough stand on illicit drugs that he said were causing addiction and destroying the future of young people. Pro-cannabis groups met the health minister on Thursday and urged him to rethink the policy reversal. And U.S. prosecutor... No, there we go. Here we go. Sorry about this. Thailand's Cannabis Future Network, Thailand's first legalized cannabis for research and medical use back in 2018, and 2 years ago removed the plant from the national narcotics list, allowing people to grow, sell, and consume cannabis. That led to an explosion of adult use, with thousands of cannabis cafes and dispensaries popping up nationwide, especially in tourist hotspots, in an industry projected to be worth up to $1.2 billion by 2025. Critics say liberalism was rushed by the previous government, with no cannabis bill drafted or clear rules in place in Thailand, causing widespread public confusion and misuse. Thailand has a long tradition of using marijuana to relieve pain and fatigue, with use also in traditional medicine and recipes. Public Health Minister Somsak Thongsin told the group cannabis should be used only for medical purposes, but many cannabis businesses say the problem is not adult use of cannabis, but the haze surrounding rules or regulations. In a quote, "There is nothing more reasonable than a comprehensive cannabis act which already addresses the safety concerns like use among children and controlled growth." Activist and cannabis retailer Chakawan Chapa said, "We do not support a wild west of marijuana in Thailand, but policy that backs farmers, retailers, and medical users," you guys. Well, it seems like the advocates are getting busy in Thailand because they don't want to roll the tide backwards, but I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
It's an example of not paying attention to what your citizens really want and trying to impose your will on them. Mm-hmm. They can't enforce cannabis prohibitions in most places in the world. In the places where they can, they're just draconian. They shoot you and do stupid shit like that. But in most places in the world, people want to smoke weed. You can stop a few of them, but you can't stop them all. So we've learned to stop playing whack-a-mole and see if you can bring this into a regulated industry. And to come in, this is like a bet running in with Sam and going, at the last minute, my hair's on fire, the kids, and it's nonsense. Mm-hmm. We were getting Thai sticks back in the 70s when I was a teenager. And they've been doing that for a long time. So they're not going to stop doing that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think the pendulum swings both ways. They went too far and too quickly for their government to really not clap back quickly on this, but I think it will go the other way. I don't know how long it'll take them to get back in that place, but they're going to feel the hurt economically. Because they're doing to their economy from this. There's so many eyes on them, and it was all positive too. There was not much negative in the global sphere of things tied to Thailand's legalization. So I think that thing is going to take.
Fair enough.
I just hope people don't get killed with this. You know what I'm saying? Because we've seen that shit. We've seen what happens.
Well, the advocates are advocating.
And how they deal with I know, but from canings to prison terms to people actually getting good for this shit over there, like people are gonna die because of this. That makes me sad, but on the flip side, I mean, it is. You know what I'm saying?
You don't get no personal recognizance bonds over there.
Right.
Any thoughts, Rachelle?
Thailand.
You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. That's all I'll say about that.
Fair enough.
I like that. I like that shit. Talking about that genie bullshit, because genies can go back in the bottle. God damn it!
Oh boy,
people need to stop saying that.
Speaking of going back in the bottle, Rico, you ready to go?
I'm not going back on the bottle, man.
Back in the bottle, Rico.
Yeah, man. Thank you all for joining us for yet another episode of High at 9 News. You can always catch us live weekdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to the Superfan showing love, getting their comments posted live on the big screen. Live audience and online supporters catching us across all media platforms, tuning in each day to the headlines of chaos, also known as the developing cannabis industry. Our vetted correspondent team tuning in from all over, bringing us much needed variety of perspective and your respected opinions to the table. Production team, Cloud Media Partners, all the sponsors keeping our lights on, AV struggles to a minimum, and Adam back there, back in the house. Must have got them little, baby Barbie combs together so we can feather the shit out of his hair this morning.
Damn, son.
High today, man. I was flying high today.
How dare
As
you.
always, Cannabis Sativa L. The reason we come out to read these stories every single day. Thank you too, baby girl. It has been Thursday, May 16th, 2024. Show's over. You all been blessed with the top industry headlines. Hope it was enough for you tomorrow. My name is Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street. For High at 9 News, the cannabis industry's #1 daily news. What tip you were kicking today, man? Stone Slade. Kicking right back to you, my brother, in the purple state of Texas.
It's red.
Let's go. Hey,
It's red.
so last night when I was looking for a story to share today, I was looking for something on how cannabis can help people deal with tragedy of loss. It was something personal for me because 2 weeks ago today, actually on the show, I received a text that one of my childhood friends had passed. And then now tomorrow I've had to schedule the goodbye for a member of our family, our 14-year-old dog Gibby, stage 4 of kidney failure. So not to leave anybody with a bummer, my thought for the day today is don't miss an opportunity to tell your tribe that you love them. Life is short and tomorrow is not guaranteed.
Right.
Sorry for your loss, Stone.
Yeah.